Democrats brawl in Brooklyn.
I love being in Brooklyn. This is great.
Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, their most personal attacks yet.
I do question her judgment.
I've been called a lot of things in my life. That was a first.
National polls tighter than ever. Sanders promising to fight to the finish.
I think we're going to win this nomination, to tell you the truth.
Protests erupt at a Republican event overnight as Donald Trump faces a new fight and lands a big endorsement this morning.
Emergency landing.
We have an emergency inbound.
A jet full of passengers forced to land overnight when a bird strikes the cockpit, cracking the windshield. The very latest on the terrifying mid-air incident.
One of the killers behind the Charles Manson murder is about to go free. Manson follower Leslie Van Houten recommended for parole 46 years after a brutal murder. The victim's family fighting back and speaking out this morning.
Hot pursuit on a high wire. A chimp on the loose for hours after escaping from the zoo. The chase unfolding on live TV. How Cha-Cha broke free and zookeepers finally brought him back down safely.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Don't worry, Cha-Cha's fine. I know Amy was very concerned about
was
that.
that construction worker. He's
yes,
okay too.
That's right. Good Morning America. And yes, the picture of the morning, the chimp escaping out of a zoo, Lara.
Unbelievable. Look at him. It's like real life Curious George.
It's kind of a big Curious George.
Yeah, he is. Okay.
But there was, as we said, a happy ending to that. Boy, not a lot of happiness on stage at the Democratic debate last night, though. They were angry. Crucial New York primary just 4 days away. Polls show a healthy lead in New York for Hillary. Nationally, though, a dead heat.
That's right, George, because a new national poll shows her just 2 points ahead of Bernie Sanders after holding a 13-point lead last month. ABC's Cecilia Vega is here with more on that and the highlights from last night's debate. Good morning, Cecilia.
Robin, good morning to you. They have known each other for decades, but if what happened on that stage last night is any indication, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are no longer friends. There was bickering, shouting, dirty looks. The mean streets of New York came to life on that stage.
In this Subway series, a battle royale on their home turf.
I love being in Brooklyn. This is great.
A statement because, excuse me.
A Brooklyn brawl.
Interesting comment, but you didn't answer the question.
I did. If that's
no,
the
you
way
didn't.
don't
I think
put
I have the
words into my
microphone.
mouth.
From the stare down to the flying hands to the yelling.
I am sure a lot of people are very surprised to learn that you supported raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
You know, wait a minute.
That's just not
Come
accurate.
on. I have stood on the debate stage with Senator Sanders 8 prior times.
Excuse me.
I have said the
Secretary,
exact same
Senator,
thing.
please.
The showdown starting just about as soon as they faced off.
Does Secretary Clinton have the experience and the intelligence to be a president? Of course she does. But I do question her judgment.
Senator Sanders did call me unqualified. I've been called a lot of things in my life. That was a first. The people of New York voted for me twice to be their senator from New York. And President Obama trusted my judgment enough to ask me to be Secretary of State.
Clinton also hammering down on Sanders' plan to break up the big banks, questioning whether he has details.
He could not explain how that would be done. He could not answer about Afghanistan, about Israel, about counterterrorism. I think you need to have the judgment on day one to be both president and commander-in-chief.
And she was put on the hot seat herself, refusing to commit to releasing those transcripts of her paid speeches to Wall Street firms.
It is your Democratic opponent and many Democratic voters who want to see those transcripts. It's not about the Republicans.
When everybody does it, okay, I will do it. But let's set and expect the same standard on tax returns. Everybody
This was definitely a debate unlike any other. Sanders needs a landslide victory here in New York to help his chances of winning the nomination, and he's now taking some heat for heading to the Vatican for a conference right after that debate ended. He landed there this morning. Hillary Clinton is leaving town too, Robin. She is heading to California for a big weekend of fundraisers with the Clooneys.
Not a day off for any of the candidates, it seems.
Or us.
That's true. Okay, Cecilia, thank you. George?
Or our political team, John Carl and Matthew Dowd, here with me right now. And Matthew, let me begin with you. So we had a lot of shouting last night. The candidates seemed to be getting pretty tired of each other. The big question, did anything change after last night.
What I recall is the last time there was that much shouting in Brooklyn on television, Ralph Cramden and Alice were involved in The Honeymooners.
I was wondering which TV show you were going to go to. Okay.
I went to the 50s on this one. I think it's going to be a close race in New York. I think that debate last night highlighted Bernie Sanders' authenticity, and it highlighted Hillary Clinton's competency and experience in the course of this. I don't know how much the debate will actually move that, but I do think this race is closing, and I do think Sanders has an outside chance of winning New York primary.
And John Carl, it's a must-win for Bernie Sanders.
It absolutely, as Cecilia said, he not only needs to win in New York, he needs to win in a landslide to catch up in the delegates. But look, Bernie Sanders last night looked and sounded like a candidate who really believes he can win this thing, going after Hillary Clinton in a way that was much more personal, almost contemptuous of her. The bottom line here for Hillary Clinton is she took some serious shots from Bernie Sanders and had to go back at him in a way that's going to make it harder for her to eventually get those Sanders supporters if and when she gets the nomination.
Yeah, that's the question I want to bring to Matthew Dowdy. We've seen that on the Republican side, real acrimony. This is the first time we really saw it bubble up here on the Democratic side. How hard will it be for the Democrats to come back together?
Well, there's a huge, as you say, there's a huge emotional rift, but there's also a huge demographic rift with older voters being on one side, younger voters being on the other side, and different demographics on income. I think the best healing balm for a party that's in a rift is the common enemy. And I think that's their hope, whether it's Donald Trump or Ted Cruz, that the common enemy will unite the party.
Which is why Hillary Clinton running ads against Trump here in New York. John Carl, Matthew Dowd, thanks very much. Let's go to Robin.
All right, George, now to the Republicans. All three presidential candidates under one roof last night, speaking at a GOP gala here in Manhattan as hundreds of protesters gathered outside. There's a new national poll out now showing Donald Trump with a double-digit lead. ABC's Tom Yamas is at Trump International with the latest. Good morning, Tom.
Robin, Donald Trump woke up this morning to some very good news. The New York Post, a newspaper which has had so much fun with him over the years, now endorsing him for president, one of his hometown papers. And you mentioned those high poll numbers, but Trump's rivals are not surrendering New York. This as Trump is now dealing with another problem, what he's describing as a group of Benedict Arnolds.
This morning, a new fight for Donald Trump that's coming straight from the boardroom.
Come on, Kwame, time is money.
A group of Apprentice alumni like Kwame Jackson and Tara Dowdell now coming together to disavow the GOP frontrunner whom they once fought to work for on reality TV.
I just do not think he's qualified. I do not think he's competent. I do not think he knows the issues.
The rhetoric that we've heard from Donald Trump is not only hateful, but it's dangerous.
Trump responding saying, total dishonesty and disloyalty. They should be careful or I'll play hours of footage of them individually praising me. Ask how successful they've been since they left. 6 failing wannabes out of hundreds of contestants, so sad. In New York, Trump helping raise money for local Republicans while at the same time criticizing the national party for running a, quote, rigged system when it comes to delegates.
I'm right now millions of votes ahead of my closest rival, millions of votes. You know, people don't talk about votes anymore. They talk delegates. By the way, I happen to be hundreds of delegates ahead, too.
Senator Ted Cruz also in New York, playing along on the late-night circuit.
Well, that's a very generous offer, Donald. I appreciate you being the bigger man.
Oh, I'm the bigger man. With the bigger hands.
The interview taking a turn when Cruz was pressed about supporting Trump if he becomes the nominee.
I am working very, very hard not to have to answer that question.
But you do, right? You have to?
I agree. I have to beat him in Cleveland.
Now, all three of the Republican candidates have spent a lot of time here in New York City, but today they're hitting the other corners of the state as they get ready for Tuesday's New York primary. George?
Thanks, Tom. Let's get more on this now from the chair of the Republican National Committee, Reince Priebus. He joins us from Washington this morning. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Chairman. You heard Donald Trump in that piece right there complaining about the rigged rules in the Republican side. He also has an op-ed in this morning's Wall Street Journal. Here's what he says. What we are not seeing now is not a proper use of the rules, but a flagrant abuse of the rules. Delegates are supposed to reflect the decisions of voters, but the system is being rigged by party operatives with double-agent delegates who reject the decision of voters. Your response?
Well, look, the rules were put out there over a year ago. It's up to the campaigns to understand them. So in a vote system, Depending on the outcome of the vote, candidates receive delegates. Those candidates must vote for that candidate, for that winner. So they're actually bound to vote for the winner. Nothing is being taken away. And then when those elections happen for who those delegates are in those states, that's a process that the campaigns are intimately involved with. And who wins those elections and who doesn't is up to the campaigns to make sure that those people win, and that's what he's complaining about.
Mr. Trump also writes that he wants to reform the system, wants to work with you to reform the system. Do you think the system needs reform, and have you spoken with Mr. Trump about it?
Well, I mean, the system has been around for a long time. It was good enough for Abraham Lincoln. I think it's good enough for whoever our nominee is going to be. So, look, this is democracy in action. Both political parties use a similar system. The other piece of this is that this is a convention, and I think that we're losing sight of what the word convention actually means. It is a coming together of our party members to write rules of our party, to elect officers. That's what conventions are.
You say it's a coming together. It sounds like it's going to be a breaking apart.
No, you know what I mean. It's the coming together of delegates to write the rules and elect officers, and that's what we're doing.
But meantime, the Democrats are making hay of this. You had the chair of the Democratic National Committee, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, out last night saying, "Look at the Republicans; they're in a Civil War food fight." I think at the end of their convention, the Republican Party will not be the Republican Party of today, and they will be likely blowing themselves to smithereens. Aren't you worried about a convention where no one's happy?
Well, first of all, I mean, Debbie doesn't really have any room to talk. I mean, they're gouging each other's eyes out, and the director of the FBI is reviewing a possible indictment of Hillary Clinton. So, I mean, I don't think she's got anywhere to talk. But no, I mean, it isn't easy. I'm not trying to claim it isn't, and there is drama, but that's what our party needs to do. We need to come together. We need to pick a nominee. We need to come together and put our eye on the prize, which is the White House. But we're having a conversation right now who that person will be, and it hasn't happened potentially since 1940. We'll see.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for joining us this morning.
You bet.
Boy, you know, this long fight taking a toll on all sides.
It really is, George. Now to that scary moment in the air, a plane forced to make an emergency landing after a bird hit the windshield. ABC's Lindsay Janis joins us now with the latest. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Robin. The majority of bird strikes happen on takeoff or landing, but this one apparently hitting mid-flight, forcing the pilot to take immediate action.
We have an emergency inbound.
A heart-stopping moment for the 57 passengers aboard a Delta flight from LaGuardia to Nashville.
The emergency's cracked windshield.
The plane forced to make an emergency landing after a bird struck the aircraft, cracking the windshield.
Birds and aircraft, share the same airspace, so these things are bound to happen. It, gets your heart beating fast.
Bird strikes on aircraft are a growing problem as bird populations soar. Earlier this week, while landing at Heathrow Airport with 71 passengers, this Egypt Air Boeing 737 damaged its nose when a flock flew into it.
There was a huge bang, a boom sound on the left side.
And a bird caused an engine fire on this JetBlue flight from San Juan to JFK. The takeoff suddenly aborted.
704, your left engine is away, 704.
All 186 passengers and crew deplaning out the slide.
Fortunately, no injuries to anyone on board that Delta flight, but thanks to those soaring bird populations, bird strikes are now 3 times more likely than they were 30 years ago. George?
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, Lindsay, thanks very much. There are new questions this morning for the NBA as the league's owners meet to consider moving next year's All-Star game from Charlotte, North Carolina. Calls for a boycott after the state passed a controversial law that critics argue discriminates against gay, lesbian, and transgender people. ABC's Eva Pilgrim reports from NBA headquarters here in New York. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, George. More fallout. 4 states and D.C. have now issued travel bans because of this law. And this morning, the NBA's Board of Governors meeting here on its agenda whether or not to move the game because of this law.
This morning, the NBA owners are huddling up, talking about potentially moving the 2017 All-Star Game out of the Tar Heel state, feeling the pressure both inside and outside the league over North Carolina's so-called bathroom law.
As a black person, I'm against any form of discrimination. So I think the NBA should move the All-Star Game from Charlotte.
A bipartisan group of senators writing to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, urging the organization to take a stand. Commissioner Silver last month calling the law deeply concerning, saying he's hopeful the situation will be resolved soon. Also taking a stand against the law, Bruce Springsteen canceling his tour stop last Sunday, and Ringo Starr already pulling out of his show in June. This morning, the number of businesses speaking out and walking away continues to grow, most notably PayPal, withdrawing its plans to open a new operations center, 400-plus jobs, a $3.6 million investment.
Commissioner Silver is expected to have a press conference later today where we should learn more about what the owners want to do. George.
Okay, Eva, thanks very much. Now let's go to Amy with today's other top stories. You have that earthquake in Japan.
That's right, and aftershocks are now hampering rescue efforts after that 6.5 magnitude earthquake struck southern Japan. Overnight, an 8-month-old baby was pulled from the rubble of a flattened house. So far, 9 people are confirmed dead, but that number is expected to rise. More than 1,000 people have been injured. The quake derailed trains, split roads, sparked several fires, cutting off power and water to thousands of people. And the violent shaking lasted nearly 30 seconds, forcing people to duck for cover, including Noelle Vincent, an American teacher living in Japan.
Suddenly, we just kind of felt the floor drop beneath us. My first reaction there was to protect my friends. We linked arms. Then we tried to stay clear of the ceiling because things had begun to fall from the ceiling.
So far, nearly 50,000 people have been evacuated around Kumamoto. And new tensions with China this morning as Defense Secretary Ash Carter visits a U.S. aircraft carrier in the disputed South China Sea. This follows the announcement that the U.S. is sending fighter jets to the Philippines and boosting its alliance with that country, conducting joint patrols. The move sparked a protest from Beijing today. Well, a legal victory for families of the children killed in the Newtown, Connecticut school shooting. A judge has ruled their lawsuit against the company that made the rifle used in the attack can proceed. The judge said a law protecting gun makers from lawsuits does not prevent the families from arguing that the semi-automatic rifle is a military weapon and should not have been sold to civilians. Well, finally, a young man who is a real-life superhero. 7-year-old Darian Hoefling of New Jersey has been sworn in as an honorary officer of the Mount Holly Police Department. Darian survived 2 surgeries for a brain tumor, and he showed such bravery that every officer in the department dressed up as a superhero to honor him. Darian says he always has loved police officers, and when he was recovering at home, he made them all keychains, and he has a cape himself. It says, Super Darian 1, brain tumor 0.
All right.
Way to go, Darian.
Truly is a superhero. Thank you for that, Amy. It's nice here on the East Coast, but that's not the case everywhere, Ginger.
That's exactly right. So it's all because of this upper air pattern. It's called an omega block. So you see this big ridge? That's why we're beautiful, Robin. But back here, that low pressure system that has now dived into the West Coast, well, it is going to slow down that jet stream, get stuck, and it's going to allow for severe weather today from the Texas Panhandle up to western Nebraska, and then snow, and I mean heavy snow in parts of the Rockies, 1 to even up to 4 feet of snow. Hefty winds back here, 25 to 35 miles per hour sustained, gusts up to 55 in places like the mountains around Vegas. And look at that snow in the Rockies, even into the foothills around Denver. Your local weather in just 30 seconds. First, though, this weekend's getaway brought to you by Macy's.
It's Macy's One-Day Sale Saturday with a Preview Day Friday with amazing deals of the day store-wide. Take 45 to 60% off select fine jewelry. Get designer dress shirts now 50% off. Styling code denim and capris and juniors jeans and tees now 50% off. Save on clearance designer handbags now an extra 30 to 40% off. And take 50% plus an extra 15% off all Martha Stewart quilts and bedspreads. Macy's One-Day Sale Saturday with a Preview Day Friday. Don't miss it.
Happy Friday, everybody. Gorgeous weather here the next couple of days. What a great weekend we have ahead. Sunny skies today, seasonable temperatures after a chilly start. We'll get into the middle 60s this afternoon. Overnight tonight, maybe a little frosty in the far western suburbs, but I'm not very concerned about that. By the time you wake up, middle 40s downtown. Tomorrow afternoon, upper 60s, pushing 70 in a few spots, and I do think we'll get that on Sunday. The warmest day will be Monday and a dry week ahead.
Coming up, one of Charles Manson's